Should the Nintendo Switch 2 have an achievement system? Yes. Well, thanks for watching Soulless Gaming Bros. Be sure to follow us on Instagram for daily reels, and we'll catch you in the next video. Hold on, wait.
We're done when I say we're done.
For over 8 months since I started working on this video, there's been a lot of gaming updates. Nintendo announced the Switch successor's official name, big surprise there. Xbox has been saying my TV is now an Xbox, and earlier this week we found out that Nintendo's first-party games are going to cost $80. Hey, at least we got a Hollow Knight Silksong reveal. External achievements such as PlayStation trophies, Steam achievements, and Xbox achievements have been around for almost 20 years. Over those years, I personally think that they've been a net positive for the gaming community, and they do 3 things particularly well. First off, they can make a game feel more alive, and more than just a video game. Developers that do this well basically can break the fourth wall in a similar way that actors break the fourth wall in a movie. These types of achievements can make a particular moment seem even more cinematic, can give players subtle clues about what's going to happen next, or they can be even used for comedic effect. External achievements can also be used to show your friends and followers how far you are in a game, how skilled you are, and so much more. It's almost like a social media platform, but instead of seeing your friend go to Disneyland for the 20th time, you're seeing how many rounds your buddy made in Call of Duty Zombies. These types of achievements also are a motivator for the completionist. No, not that guy. To continue playing the game. With that being said, we have to ask the question, after 20 years, why don't Nintendo consoles have achievements yet? Back in 2011, Kotaku asked this exact question to Bill Trinen, who said, "When Nintendo developers create their games, they don't tell you how to play their game in order to achieve some kind of mythical reward." Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are examples of this ideology, where Nintendo basically wanted players to play the game their way, and they didn't want to be impacted by any type of outside force. If you had a random achievement like jump off a mountain into a body of water, even something as open-ended as that could have impacted the player and caused them to look around for the single tallest mountain to jump off of instead of just playing the game organically. While I see where Bill Trinen is coming from, I still believe that achievements could work extremely well in Breath of the Wild. By adding basic achievements like complete all shrines, find all Korok seeds, own a house, or simply save Zelda, you can pretty organically lead players to accomplish things without explicitly telling them in the game that, hey Link, you can buy a house. It's instead implied through the external achievement system that you can build or purchase a house. On top of that, a lot of Nintendo games do have achievements, but these are what I'd like to call in-game achievements, and they can achieve a similar goal as external achievements, but there rarely is ever a social component to these. Things like completing the Pokédex in a Pokemon game, getting all the Jiggies and notes in Banjo-Kazooie, or doing various tasks in Super Smash Bros. To unlock all the characters. Each one of these achievements are pretty universal regardless of developer, and each play a different role as part of the gameplay loop. When I was in high school, my main console that my friend group and my family had was the Xbox 360. I have a ton of fond memories coming home from football, playing Halo Reach, Minecraft, and a bunch of other games with my friends. Whenever I would add a friend from school on Xbox, one of the first things I would do was go to their achievements list to see what they had earned. It was a really quick and easy way to see what games that they were into. I could easily see if a friend was into Mass Effect, or if another friend was into Halo or Skyrim. I honestly still do this today when I add coworkers, friends, or neighbors to Steam, Nintendo, or Xbox. Even though Nintendo doesn't have an official achievement system, they do still track what games you play and how many hours you've put into each one. I'll jump over to the games that they've played to see what interests we both have in common and compare game time, achievements, and all that kind of stuff. The social aspect of gaming is honestly what's allowed gaming to continue to grow into the behemoth that it's become in the media industry. You know, all this talk about social sharing with friends and achievements has got me thinking about our Instagram account, where we've had over 15 million views in the past year or so, and are about to pass 5,000 followers. If you want some more daily content from the Soulless Gaming Bros, check us out on Instagram, where we post funny and nostalgic reels based on our favorite old and new games. Also, drop a comment here of some of the coolest achievements that you've earned, or games that you've just 100%ed. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Alright, back to the video. This idea of thinking about how Nintendo doesn't have an achievement system on their console all started as I was playing through the Resident Evil 4 remake over the past few weeks. It got me thinking about how internal and external achievements can work together to impact the way that we play a certain game. The original Resident Evil 4 was already in my top 10 favorite games, and after spending about 100 hours in the remake, it's probably cracked my top 5. Sorry, Xenoblade Chronicles. The story, the gameplay, the characters, locations, enemies, music, the gameplay loop, it all flows extremely well. One thing that really interested me though was when I finished my first playthrough and the final screen shows you how long it took you to beat it. I know, games have been doing this for years, so it wasn't anything I wasn't used to, but after finishing my first playthrough on the standard difficulty, I began thinking what I could have done better to improve my time. On top of that, like most Resident Evil games, you're given an in-game reward based on how quickly you beat the game, how accurate you are with your gun, or other metrics. In Resident Evil 4, it's mostly all about how quickly you can beat the game, so because of my not so great time, I was just given the basic rewards for completing it. This honestly lit a fire in me, and I immediately booted up a New Game Plus save and started working on memorizing routes, figuring out better ways to kill bosses, and improving my overall time. As I stormed my way through each locale with upgraded weapons, I became hooked on acquiring as many in-game rewards as possible. Depending on what difficulty you play on and how quickly you beat the game, you can receive things like new character outfits, new cosmetics, upgrades like unlimited ammo, and even special weapons that can be used in subsequent playthroughs. Looking at a few of the most difficult in-game challenges, I knew that unless I wanted to bang my head against the wall for several hours, I would have to play through the game a few times to collect several useful items that would make the more challenging rewards easier to get. The unlimited ammo upgrade, for example, requires you to complete the game on professional mode in under 5.5 hours. That might not sound too bad, but you also have to do it on a fresh save, so no New Game Plus, and you're limited to 15 saves during that 5.5 hours. The plus side is that you can use specific weapons and outfits that you've unlocked using this in-game reward system from your previous playthroughs. Things like armor for Ashley so she isn't damaged or kidnapped, glasses for Leon that make flash grenades not affect you as much, more powerful knives, a chicken hat that reduces damage taken, and even a machine gun that when upgraded never runs out of ammo. All of those are fair game. As I made my way through focusing on the in-game rewards, I noticed I was also knocking out a ton of the Xbox achievements. So I decided to do something I had never purposefully done, and that's unlock all of the achievements for a game, no matter how weird or difficult that achievement might be. I've been playing games for a long time, so it's kind of crazy that I haven't actually done this. But as I worked my way through the different achievements, I noticed so many things that I had missed on my first playthrough. Things like a really cool optional fight that you have with a bunch of enemies in the lobby of the castle that requires you to backtrack to the beginning of the map. And then earlier in the village, there's another completely optional area that you visit that shows where Los Iluminados do human sacrifices next to the lake. I honestly didn't know that this nightmare fuel area existed until I was hunting down small keys to do one of the 3 achievements that requires you to collect all of the hidden treasures. It might have been because on my first playthrough, I was half asleep and playing this at like 1 in the morning, and I started to get lost on the lake. But it was still a really cool place to go and see. The main reason I didn't collect these on my first playthrough is that a lot of the final hidden treasures can be a bit tricky to find. It honestly wasn't until my 3rd or 4th playthrough that I finally collected all the treasures in the right order because I had memorized which locations would be closed due to certain story elements. As I was going around, seeing the different areas and fighting all these different enemies that I missed, I realized how good of a job that Capcom did at encouraging players to continue playing the game by using these in-game and external achievement systems. It was clearly an intentional decision that I think a lot of games and developers miss the mark on. The combined mechanics of rewarding you for how quickly you beat the game, being able to play the game on New Game Plus so that you aren't pressured to play the game the exact same way, encourages players to continue to play until each item and achievement is unlocked. This gameplay loop not only brought me back to complete the game nearly 7 times, but it drove me to purchase the DLC separate ways for an additional $10, since several of the in-game and external achievements were tied to the DLC. Even achievements that typically would feel like a chore weren't, because I was still able to earn these achievements on lower difficulties, and I was able to use tons of different weapons through the New Game Plus saves. Things like only using handguns and knives, not using a healing item, were all pretty fun because I had New Game Plus. Unlocking the achievement of not using a healing item, for example, was really hard because I did it on professional, but I tackled that after getting the unlimited ammo upgrade. So it was really fun and added an extra challenge to a playthrough that should have just been a walk in the park. I was able to save a lot and unlock the achievement that would have been nearly impossible to do on a fresh save. Without the in-game and external achievements, I probably only would have spent like 15 to 20 hours on playing this game and would have missed so many cool optional moments that the game had to offer that I just didn't see on my first playthrough. I also probably wouldn't have purchased the DLC too, which I really enjoyed. Because of this whole experience, it's led me to watching tons of different speedruns of Resident Evil 4, joining the subreddit, subscribing to a few Resident Evil YouTubers, and much, much more. I truly hope that with Nintendo's next console they add an achievement system. It's not only good for Nintendo because it encourages players to play their games longer and potentially purchase additional content for their games, but it can also be a way for players to dive even deeper into a game. Achievements allow players to show off all their time spent playing these amazing games that developers spend hundreds of thousands of hours working on. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe. Bye!